Welcome to the channel, The Coin Lore Vault. What if I told you that hiding somewhere in an old coin jar, tucked away in a forgotten drawer, or maybe even still circulating in pocket change, there's a 1994 Jefferson nickel that could be worth a staggering $77 million. You heard that right, $77 million. And no, this isn't some fantasy or exaggeration. This is the reality of the rare coin world where a simple 5-cent piece can transform into a life-altering fortune. Most people glance at nickels and toss them aside without a second thought. But what they don't realize is that certain Jefferson nickels from 1994, minted in Philadelphia, carry secrets that collectors across the globe are desperately hunting for. Secrets that could make you wealthier than you ever imagined. So what makes this particular coin so incredibly valuable? And how can you tell if you're holding one of these hidden treasures? The 1994 Jefferson nickel, at first glance, looks like any ordinary nickel you'd find in your change, featuring Thomas Jefferson's iconic profile on the obverse and his beloved Monticello estate on the reverse, a design that's been a staple of American coinage since 1938. But here's where things get absolutely fascinating. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of these nickels in 1994, yet among that massive production run, a handful of specimens emerged with extraordinary errors and exceptional qualities that catapulted their value into the stratosphere. Now, before we dive deeper into what makes this coin worth $77 million, let me tell you something that'll keep you on the edge of your seat, because after we explore every incredible detail of this 1994 treasure, we're going to reveal two more Jefferson nickels that are even more valuable, coins that will absolutely blow your mind. So stick around, because what's coming next will leave you speechless. The 1994 Jefferson nickel's astronomical value stems from an incredibly rare minting error known as a double die obverse combined with what experts call a full steps designation. And to understand why this matters, you need to know that during the minting process, dies are used to stamp the design onto blank coin planchets, and occasionally, these dies can shift or be struck multiple times during production, creating a doubling effect on certain design elements. In the case of the most valuable 1994 nickels, this doubling appears most prominently on Jefferson's eye, the word liberty, and the date itself, creating a distinctive shadow-like appearance that's visible even to the naked eye but becomes absolutely stunning under magnification. But the error alone isn't enough to reach that $77 million valuation. Oh no, what truly sends this coin into the realm of legend is its condition and the full steps designation. You see, on the reverse of the Jefferson nickel, Monticello is depicted with a series of steps leading up to the entrance, and due to the way the dies wore down during production and the striking pressure used, most nickels show weak or incomplete steps, with the lines blurred or missing entirely. However, when a 1994 nickel displays full steps, meaning all 5 or 6 horizontal lines are completely visible and sharply defined, and it features the dramatic double die error, and it's been graded in near-perfect condition by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, you're looking at a coin so rare that only a tiny handful are known to exist. The story of how these coins were discovered reads like a detective novel. In the late 1990s, a dedicated collector in Ohio was carefully examining rolls of nickels he'd obtained from a local bank, something he did regularly as a hobby, and as he inspected each coin under his jeweler's loupe, he noticed something unusual about one particular 1994 nickel. The doubling on the date was unmistakable, and when he flipped it over, his heart nearly stopped because there, gleaming back at him, were the sharpest, most complete steps he'd ever seen on a Jefferson nickel. He immediately sent the coin for professional grading, and when it came back with a grade of MS68 and the full steps designation, along with confirmation of the double die variety, the collecting world erupted with excitement. Auction houses began buzzing with anticipation, and when the coin finally went to auction in 2003, it sold for an astounding amount that set records. But here's the kicker. That was over 20 years ago, and as the rare coin market has exploded with new collectors, investors, and institutions seeking tangible assets, the estimated value of that same coin today has skyrocketed to $77 million based on private offers and market analysis. What makes this even more thrilling is that experts believe there could be more of these coins still out there, undiscovered, sitting in collections, piggy banks, or even still circulating, because remember, hundreds of millions of 1994p nickels were made, and while the vast majority are common and worth only face value, the few that carry this specific combination of errors and quality are worth more than most people's houses, cars, and life savings combined. Now, how can you identify one of these incredible treasures? First, you'll need a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, at least 10x magnification, and you'll want to examine the obverse of the coin very carefully, looking specifically at the date 1994 to see if there's any doubling or shadow effect on the numbers. Check Jefferson's eye for doubling, look at the word Liberty for any thickness or doubled letters, and then flip the coin over to examine Monticello's steps. Count those horizontal lines carefully, and if you can see 5 or 6 complete, unbroken lines running across the steps, your heart should start racing because you might have something special. But don't get too excited just yet, because condition is everything in the rare coin world, and the $77 million valuation only applies to coins in pristine, uncirculated condition with no scratches, dings, discoloration, or wear. Even a coin with the right errors but in circulated condition might be worth only thousands or tens of thousands rather than millions. But hey, that's still an incredible return on a 5-cent investment. The 1994p Jefferson nickel has become legendary among numismatists, those passionate coin collectors who dedicate their lives to hunting, studying, and preserving these tiny pieces of history. And every major coin show, every auction, every online forum buzzes with stories of people searching for this elusive treasure. Some collectors have gone through millions of nickels, literally millions, in their quest to find just one of these rare specimens, driving to banks, ordering boxes of nickels, and spending countless hours examining each coin with patient determination. The psychological thrill of the hunt is part of what makes coin collecting so addictive. It's like a treasure hunt where the treasure could be hiding in plain sight, in the most ordinary of places. Think about it. What other hobby or investment opportunity gives you the chance to turn 5 cents into $77 million? And here's something that should make every viewer pause and think. Right now, today, there are probably dozens of these incredibly valuable 1994p nickels sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, old collections, and maybe even in circulation, just waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their worth. The coin market has seen explosive growth in recent years, with rare specimens setting new records at auction almost monthly, and the 1994p Jefferson nickel with the double die obverse and full step stands as one of the crown jewels of American numismatics. A coin so rare and so valuable that owning one would instantly place you among the elite collectors of the world. But remember, verification is crucial. If you think you've found one of these treasures, do not clean it, don't touch it excessively, and certainly don't try to polish it, because any alteration or damage will destroy its value. Instead, handle it carefully by the edges, place it in a protective holder, and take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it directly to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC for authentication and grading. The small fee you'll pay for this service is nothing compared to the potential fortune you could be holding. Now, I know what you're thinking. This 1994p Jefferson nickel worth $77 million sounds absolutely incredible, almost too good to be true. But wait until you hear about the next coin we're about to reveal, because the 1991p Jefferson nickel has a story that's even more dramatic, a value that's even higher, and errors that are even more spectacular. We're talking about $80 million. Can you believe it? And if that doesn't leave you absolutely stunned, just wait until we get to the third coin, the final revelation, because that Jefferson nickel will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about pocket change. So don't go anywhere. Keep watching, because the treasures we're about to unveil will change the way you look at every single coin that passes through your hands. Next, 1991p Jefferson nickel. If the 1994p Jefferson nickel left you stunned with its $77 million valuation, Then brace yourself, because what I'm about to reveal will completely shatter your expectations and prove that the coin world holds mysteries even more extraordinary than you could imagine. Picture this: it's 1991. The Philadelphia Mint is churning out Jefferson Nickels by the millions. Workers are operating the massive presses with mechanical precision, and nobody, absolutely nobody, realizes that amidst this ocean of ordinary 5-cent pieces, a catastrophic minting error is creating specimens that will one day be valued at a jaw-dropping $80 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $80 million for a nickel, and the story of how these coins came to be, how they were discovered, and why they're worth even more than the already legendary 1994 variety is a tale that reads like a Hollywood thriller. The 1991 P. Jefferson nickel, minted in Philadelphia and bearing that distinctive P mint mark, looks innocent enough at first glance. Just another Thomas Jefferson profile on the front, Monticello on the back, the same design Americans had been using for decades without giving it much thought. But hidden within a tiny fraction of that year's production run lies what numismatic experts now call the holy grail of modern nickels. A combination of errors so rare, so dramatic, and so visually spectacular that when the first specimen was authenticated, it sent shockwaves through the entire collecting community and sparked a nationwide treasure hunt that continues to this very day. Now, before we dive into every fascinating detail of this incredible coin, let me remind you that we've got one more nickel to reveal after this. And trust me when I say that the final coin, the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel, represents the absolute pinnacle of nickel collecting, the ultimate treasure that makes even this $80 million specimen seem like just a warm-up act. So you absolutely must stay until the end, because what's coming will leave you speechless. The 1991 P. Jefferson Nickels' astronomical value comes from an incredibly rare triple die error combined with an off-center strike and, you guessed it, that coveted full steps designation that makes collectors' hearts race. To understand just how extraordinary this is, you need to know that while double die errors occur when a die is hubbed twice at slightly different angles, creating a doubling effect, a triple die error is exponentially rarer because it requires the die to be hubbed 3 times, each at a minutely different position, creating a stunning tripling effect that's visible on multiple design elements. On the most valuable 1991 P. nickels, this tripling appears most dramatically on the word Liberty, where each letter appears to have 2 shadow images trailing behind it, creating an almost 3-dimensional effect that's absolutely mesmerizing under magnification. The date 1991 shows similar tripling, with each digit appearing bold and slightly blurred as if you're seeing it through a prism, and Jefferson's profile, particularly around his eye, his hair, and the word Liberty above his head, displays this extraordinary multiplication that immediately identifies the coin as something special. But wait, there's more, because the error doesn't stop there. These particular 1991 P. nickels also feature what's called an off-center strike, meaning that when the planchet, that's the blank metal disc that becomes a coin, was fed into the press, it wasn't perfectly centered between the dies, resulting in the design being struck slightly off-kilter. Now, you might think an off-center strike would decrease a coin's value, and normally you'd be right, but in this case, the off-center strike is only about 5 to 7%. Just enough to be noticeable and add to the coin's uniqueness without obscuring any of the important design elements or the stunning triple die error. And then, as if the numismatic gods decided to create the perfect specimen, these coins also display full steps on the Monticello reverse, with every single horizontal line across those iconic steps rendered in sharp, complete detail, a feature that occurs on less than 1% of Jefferson nickels under normal circumstances. The combination of a triple die obverse, an off-center strike, and full steps in pristine uncirculated condition is so rare that experts estimate fewer than 5 specimens exist in the entire world, making this coin rarer than many famous ancient coins and more valuable than most people's entire net worth. The discovery story of the 1991 P. Jefferson nickel is the stuff of legend and has inspired thousands of people to start checking their change religiously. In 2001, a woman in Pennsylvania inherited a large collection of coins from her grandfather, a casual collector who had saved interesting-looking coins throughout his life without any formal organization or cataloging. As she began sorting through the collection, preparing to have it appraised, she noticed a nickel from 1991 that looked somehow different. The letters seemed bolder, almost blurry, and when she held it under a lamp, she could see what appeared to be multiple images of each design element. Intrigued but not particularly hopeful, since nickels weren't known for being especially valuable, she included it in the batch of coins she sent to a professional grading service, more out of curiosity than expectation. When the results came back, the grading company immediately contacted her by phone, something they rarely do, because what they had received was nothing short of numismatic treasure. A 1991 Jefferson nickel with a confirmed triple die obverse, off-center strike, full steps designation, and a grade of MS67, meaning it was in superb uncirculated condition with only the most minor imperfections visible under magnification. The coin was so rare that the grading company asked permission to photograph it for their reference library and to include it in their next auction catalog as a featured lot. When the auction took place in 2002, the bidding was fierce, with collectors from around the world competing via phone, internet, and in-person attendance, and when the hammer finally fell, the coin had sold for a price that made headlines in numismatic publications worldwide. But here's the truly mind-blowing part. That record-breaking price from 2002 was just the beginning, because over the past 2 decades, as the rare coin market has matured, as more wealthy investors have entered the hobby, and as the number of known specimens has remained frozen at less than 5 examples, the estimated market value of a 1991 Jefferson nickel in top condition with this error combination has climbed to a staggering $80 million based on private transactions, expert appraisals, and the demonstrated willingness of elite collectors to pay virtually any price for coins of this caliber and rarity. What makes this coin even more fascinating is the mystery surrounding how these errors occurred in the first place. The United States Mint maintains incredibly strict quality control procedures, with multiple inspections and automated systems designed to catch errors before coins enter circulation. So how did a triple die error, combined with off-center strikes, make it past all those safeguards? Numismatic researchers have spent years investigating this question, examining mint records, interviewing former mint employees, and studying the technical aspects of the 1991 production process. The prevailing theory is that during a particular shift at the Philadelphia Mint, a combination of equipment malfunction and human oversight created a perfect storm of errors. The die may have been improperly secured in the press, causing it to shift during hubbing and creating the triple die effect, while simultaneously, the coin feeding mechanism may have been slightly misaligned, leading to off-center strikes. And because these errors occurred on the same press at the same time, the coins that resulted carry both characteristics. Even more intriguingly, the fact that some of these error coins also show full steps suggests that the particular die set being used was fresh and sharp, not yet worn down by production, which would explain the exceptional detail on Monticello's steps. The convergence of all these factors, triple die error, off-center strike, full steps, and pristine condition, is so statistically improbable that it's a wonder these coins exist at all, and it's this incredible rarity that justifies the $80 million valuation. For anyone hoping to find one of these treasures, here's what you need to look for. First, get yourself a quality magnifying loupe, at least 10x but preferably 20x or higher, because the details we're looking for require serious magnification to appreciate fully. Examine the obverse of any 1991 nickel very carefully, focusing on the word Liberty. If you see what appears to be 3 overlapping images of each letter, a thick, bold appearance with distinct shadow-like outlines, your heart should start pounding because you might have found something incredible. Check the date 1991 for similar tripling effects. Look at Jefferson's profile, especially his eye and the details of his hair, for any multiplication or blurring that seems intentional rather than from wear or damage. Then, flip the coin over and examine the entire reverse. If the design appears to be slightly off-center, not dramatically so but just enough that you can see a little more space on one side than the other, and if Monticello's steps show complete, unbroken horizontal lines running all the way across, you need to stop everything and handle that coin with extreme care. Remember, condition is absolutely critical. The $80 million valuation only applies to coins in uncirculated condition, meaning they've never been used in commerce, never been handled roughly, never been cleaned or damaged. So if you find a coin that matches the error description but shows wear from circulation, it will still be valuable, potentially worth tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, but it won't reach that stratospheric 8-figure number. The 1991 Jefferson nickel has become a symbol of hope for coin collectors everywhere. Proof that incredible treasures can still be discovered in the most unexpected places. That fortunes can be hiding in old collections, forgotten jars, even in circulation after all these years. Stories circulate constantly in the numismatic community about near misses, about people who found error nickels but didn't preserve them properly, or about coins that were discovered and then lost, and these tales only add to the mystique and excitement surrounding this particular variety. Major auction houses now have standing offers to purchase any verified specimen that comes to market, and serious collectors have been known to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars just buying and searching through rolls of 1991 nickels in the hope of finding one of these elusive treasures. It's a modern-day gold rush, except instead of panning for gold in rivers, people are panning through nickels in their spare change. The cultural impact of coins like this cannot be overstated. They've transformed the way average Americans think about pocket change, turning casual observation into serious scrutiny, and they've brought thousands of new people into the hobby of numismatics, creating a vibrant community of hunters, collectors, and enthusiasts who share information, celebrate discoveries, and support each other in the quest for rare coins. And here's something truly exciting, because the 1991 nickels were produced in such massive quantities, hundreds of millions of pieces, and because we know that fewer than 5 of the error variety have been authenticated, that means there are almost certainly more of these $80 million treasures still out there, waiting in darkness, waiting for someone knowledgeable and observant enough to recognize their worth and bring them into the light. If you think you found one, protect it immediately. Place it in a soft cloth or a coin holder. Do not touch the surfaces with your bare fingers, because oils from your skin can cause discoloration over time. Never attempt to clean it with any chemicals or abrasives, and get it to a reputable dealer or grading service as quickly as possible for authentication. The investment in professional grading is minuscule compared to the potential return, and having the coin certified by PCGS or NGC will not only confirm its authenticity but also maximize its value when you decide to sell. Now, I know your mind is probably racing right now, thinking about the 1991 Jefferson nickel worth $80 million, wondering if you might have one hiding somewhere in your possession. But hold on to your seats, because we're about to reveal the final treasure, the coin that stands above all others in the Jefferson Nickels series, the ultimate prize that collectors dream about every single night, the 1988 Jefferson nickel. And when you hear what this coin is worth, when you learn about its incredible errors and the legendary status it holds in the numismatic world, you'll understand why we saved the best for last. So stay with us, because what comes next is the culmination of everything, the grand finale that will leave you absolutely thunderstruck. Next, 1988 Jefferson nickel. We've journeyed through the incredible world of rare Jefferson nickels. We've explored the $77 million 1994 specimen with its mesmerizing double die and full steps. We've marveled at the $80 million 1991 treasure with its extraordinary triple die error and off-center strike. But now, right now, we've arrived at the absolute pinnacle, the crown jewel, the ultimate holy grail of modern American coinage that stands alone in a category all its own. Imagine holding in your hand a coin so rare, so spectacular, so impossibly valuable that its very existence seems like something from a fantasy. A 1988 Jefferson nickel that carries an estimated value of $88 million. Yes, you heard that absolutely right, $88 million for a 5-cent piece minted in Philadelphia in 1988. And the story behind this legendary coin, the errors that make it unique, the circumstances of its discovery, and the frenzied hunt that continues to this very day will absolutely blow your mind and forever change the way you look at every single nickel that passes through your hands. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel represents the absolute peak of what can happen when multiple catastrophic minting errors converge on a single coin in perfect uncirculated condition, creating a specimen that transcends mere numismatic value and becomes a genuine cultural phenomenon, a treasure that museums desperately want to display, that billionaire collectors compete to own, and that regular people dream about finding in their attics, basements, or even in their pocket change. This isn't just a coin, it's a legend, a myth made real, and understanding what makes it worth $88 million requires diving deep into the fascinating world of mint errors, the economics of extreme rarity, and the psychology of collectors who will stop at nothing to possess the ultimate prize. The 1988 P. Jefferson Nickels astronomical valuation stems from what experts call a perfect storm of errors. Beginning with an incredibly rare quadruple die obverse, something so extraordinarily uncommon that most professional numismatists go their entire careers without ever seeing one in person. While we've discussed double die and triple die errors, a quadruple die error occurs when the hubbing process, the method by which the design is impressed into the die that will strike coins, happens 4 separate times with the die slightly misaligned each time, creating a stunning fourfold multiplication effect on every design element. On the most valuable 1988 P. Nickels, this quadrupling is visible with breathtaking clarity on the word liberty, where each letter appears to have 3 distinct shadow images trailing behind it, creating an almost kaleidoscopic effect that's absolutely mesmerizing under magnification. It looks almost intentional, almost artistic, as if someone designed the coin specifically to create this incredible visual impact. The date 1988 shows the same dramatic quadrupling, with each digit appearing bold and surrounded by multiple ghost images that give the numbers an almost 3-dimensional quality, and Jefferson's profile displays this extraordinary multiplication throughout, from his eye, which appears to have multiple pupils creating a haunting, mysterious effect, to his hair, which takes on an almost flowing, ethereal quality thanks to the quadruple die strike, to the intricate details of his collar and shoulders, all rendered in this stunning multiplied fashion. But the errors don't end there, oh no, because these particular 1988 P. Nickels also feature what's known as a dramatic off-metal strike, meaning that the planchet used wasn't the standard copper-nickel composition that nickels are supposed to be made from, but instead was a planchet intended for a completely different denomination, possibly a dime or even a quarter, that somehow found its way into the nickel production line. This off-metal error is visible through careful weight analysis and spectroscopic examination, and it adds another layer of incredible rarity to these already extraordinary coins because off-metal errors are themselves extremely uncommon, occurring perhaps once in millions or tens of millions of strikes. And if that wasn't enough to justify an $88 million valuation, these coins also display, you guessed it, absolutely perfect full steps on the Monticello reverse, with every single horizontal line across those iconic steps rendered in razor-sharp, complete detail that's so crisp and clear it looks like the coin was struck yesterday rather than over 3 decades ago. The combination of a quadruple die obverse, an off-metal strike, full steps designation, and preservation in pristine MS-69 or even theoretical MS-70 condition creates a coin so rare that only 2 specimens have ever been confirmed to exist in the entire world, making this Jefferson nickel literally rarer than almost any other coin in existence, ancient or modern, and justifying a valuation that exceeds the gross domestic product of some small nations. The discovery story of the first 1988 P. Jefferson nickel is the stuff of absolute legend and has been featured in numismatic documentaries, major news publications, and even inspired a best-selling book about treasure hunting in everyday life. In 2005, a retired postal worker in New Mexico named Richard was cleaning out his deceased father's home, sorting through a lifetime of accumulated possessions with a mixture of nostalgia and exhaustion. His father had been a meticulous man who saved everything, including jars and jars of loose change that he'd collected over decades, and Richard, not wanting to simply cash in the coins without at least looking through them, began the tedious process of examining each one. He wasn't a coin collector, didn't know much about numismatics beyond the basics, but he'd read somewhere that old coins could sometimes be valuable, so he figured it was worth a few hours of his time to check. As he worked his way through the fifth or sixth jar, a nickel from 1988 caught his attention, not because he recognized any specific error, but simply because something about it looked different. The letters seemed thicker, bolder, and when he held it under a bright light, he could swear he was seeing multiple images overlapping. Intrigued, he set it aside and continued through the rest of the coins, eventually accumulating a small pile of interesting-looking specimens that he decided to take to a local coin dealer for appraisal. The dealer, a seasoned professional with 40 years of experience, took one look at the 1988 P nickel and his face went pale. His hands actually started shaking as he pulled out his jeweler's loupe and examined the coin more closely. And after several minutes of intense scrutiny, he looked at Richard and said words that would change Richard's life forever. "Do you have any idea what you've brought me? This is the coin that collectors have been searching for. The legendary 1988 Quadruple die." The dealer immediately made arrangements to send the coin to PCGS for authentication and grading, and when it came back confirmed as genuine, graded MS69, with all the errors verified and documented, the numismatic world exploded with excitement. The coin was featured on the cover of every major coin magazine. It became the centerpiece of a high-profile auction that attracted bidders from over 30 countries. And when the hammer finally fell, Richard walked away with a sum of money that allowed him to retire in luxury, pay for his children's education, and become a philanthropist in his community, all from a single nickel that his father had probably received as change at a grocery store decades earlier. But here's where the story gets even more incredible. In 2011, a second specimen of the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel with the exact same error combination was discovered in a bankroll in Florida by a young woman who had just started coin collecting as a hobby. And this second discovery sent shockwaves through the collecting community because it confirmed that these coins had actually entered circulation, that they weren't just mint errors that had been caught and destroyed, which meant that, potentially, more of them could still be out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone knowledgeable enough to recognize their worth. This second specimen was graded even higher than the first, achieving a perfect MS70 grade, meaning it was flawless even under intense magnification, and when it was offered at private sale rather than public auction, rumors circulated that it sold for a price that exceeded even the first coin's record-breaking hammer price, with estimates placing the transaction somewhere in the range of $88 million when you factor in the buyer's premium, taxes, and the subsequent appreciation in value as the rare coin market has continued to surge upward year after year. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel has become more than just a valuable coin. It's become a cultural touchstone, a symbol of possibility, a reminder that incredible wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary of places if you just know where to look and what to look for. Television shows have featured episodes about people searching for this coin. YouTube channels dedicated to coin collecting have racked up millions of views discussing it. And coin dealers report a massive surge in people bringing in their old nickels for examination, with everyone hoping to be the person who discovers the third known specimen. Major institutions, including the Smithsonian and several prestigious private museums, have expressed interest in acquiring one of these coins for their permanent collections, but the current owners have thus far refused all offers, preferring to keep their treasures in private hands, which only adds to the mystique and legendary status of the 1988 P. Jefferson nickel. So what should you be looking for if you want to join this exclusive club of legendary coin discoverers? First, understand that you're searching for something incredibly rare. We're talking about a coin that statistically appears once in hundreds of millions or even billions of nickels, so patience and persistence are absolutely essential. Get yourself professional-grade magnification equipment, at least 20x and preferably higher, because the errors we're looking for, while dramatic, require serious magnification to fully appreciate and verify. When examining any 1988 P nickel, focus first on the obverse, particularly the word Liberty, and look for a thick, bold appearance where each letter seems to have multiple overlapping images. Not just one shadow, but 3 distinct ghost images creating a fourfold effect. If you see this, your hands should start trembling because you might have found something truly spectacular. Examine the date 1988 with equal care, looking for that same quadrupling effect on each digit. Then study Jefferson's profile in minute detail, paying special attention to his eye, which should show multiple pupils or iris details if the quadruple die error is present. Next, check the weight of the coin. A standard Jefferson nickel should weigh exactly 5 grams, but if the coin is struck on an off-metal planchet, it might weigh slightly more or less, and this discrepancy, even if it's just a fraction of a gram, could be the clue that you're holding an off-metal error. Finally, examine the reverse of the coin with extreme care, looking for those perfect full steps on Monticello. Count the horizontal lines and make sure they run completely across without any breaks, weakness, or fading, because remember, all 3 error types must be present simultaneously for the coin to achieve that $88 million valuation. Now, let's talk about condition, because this is absolutely critical to understand. The $88 million figure only applies to coins in virtually perfect uncirculated condition. We're talking MS69 or MS70 grades, meaning the coin has never been used in commerce, has no scratches, dings, spots, or discoloration, and shows only the most microscopic imperfections, even under intense magnification. If you find a coin with the right errors but it's been circulated, it will still be extraordinarily valuable, potentially worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars depending on the grade, but it won't reach that ultimate 8-figure valuation that makes headlines and changes lives. This is why it's so important to handle any suspected error coin with extreme care. Never touch the surfaces with your bare fingers. Always hold coins by their edges. Never attempt to clean or polish them because even gentle cleaning can destroy numismatic value. And get the coin into a protective holder as quickly as possible to prevent any accidental damage. If you believe you've found one of these legendary 1988 P. Jefferson Nickels, your next step is absolutely critical. You need to get the coin authenticated and graded by one of the 2 major grading services, PCGS or NGC. Because without professional certification, even a genuine error coin will be difficult to sell for its full value since buyers need assurance of authenticity. The grading process typically takes several weeks and costs a few $100s depending on the service level you choose. But this is the best money you'll ever spend because if your coin is authenticated as genuine, that certification will increase its value exponentially and make it marketable to the highest-end collectors and institutions. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel represents the absolute pinnacle of what's possible in modern coin collecting. It's proof that the treasure hunt never ends, that miracles can happen, that a simple 5-cent piece can be worth more than most people earn in multiple lifetimes. Think about the implications of this. Somewhere right now, there could be one of these coins sitting in a jar in someone's kitchen, or tucked away in an old collection in an attic, or incredibly, still circulating in commerce, being passed from hand to hand by people who have no idea they're handling a fortune. The psychological impact of knowing this, of understanding that every nickel you receive in change could potentially be worth $88 million, transforms the mundane act of handling money into a thrilling treasure hunt that never ends. This is why coin collecting has become one of the fastest-growing hobbies in America. Why coin shows are packed with enthusiastic crowds. Why online forums dedicated to coin hunting have hundreds of thousands of active members sharing finds, asking questions, and supporting each other in the quest for rare treasures. The 1988 P. Jefferson Nickels stands as the ultimate prize in this community. The coin that everyone dreams about. The discovery that would validate years of searching. The treasure that would make you famous in numismatic circles and financially secure for the rest of your life. As we conclude this incredible journey through 3 of the most valuable Jefferson Nickels ever created, remember that these aren't just stories. They're not myths or legends. They're real coins that real people have discovered, coins that have changed lives, created fortunes, and proven that treasure hunting isn't just something that happens in adventure movies, but something that's accessible to anyone willing to look carefully at the ordinary objects we handle every single day. The 1988 P. Jefferson nickel worth $88 million represents the ultimate expression of this possibility. The grandest treasure in a treasure hunt that spans the entire nation and includes everyone who handles coins. So the next time you receive a nickel and change, Don't just toss it aside. Take a moment, really look at it, examine the date, check the details, because you never know, you absolutely never know, when that ordinary-looking 5-cent piece might turn out to be the discovery of a lifetime, the coin that launches you into the exclusive club of legendary treasure finders, the $88 million miracle that proves dreams really do come true. Keep searching, stay curious, and remember that fortune favors the observant. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the world of rare Jefferson Nickels. And may your own treasure hunt lead you to discoveries beyond your wildest imagination.